If you've ever been out on a walk in the woods, there's a really good chance you might have seen the beautiful eye-catching formations of turkey tail mushroom. But turkey tail is more than just an interesting natural specimen. It contains powerful and unique compounds that might be used for fighting fatigue, for supporting the immune system, for zapping away pathogens, and maybe even for supporting gut health. There's quite a bit of science to support turkey tail's benefits. In fact, turkey tail is one of the most researched mushrooms in the world. But before we don our lab coats and really dig into it, let's first go over what a turkey tail mushroom even is. Turkey tail is the common name for a relatively common mushroom that's a bracket fungus, grows on dead or decaying logs, and it has pores on the underside instead of gills. And it has these very unique concentric rings that grow on the top of the fruiting body. These rings can be all sorts of different colors, like blue and gray and even sometimes red, and it really does look like a turkey's tail. The mushroom is also fuzzy on the top, which is another really distinct feature of the turkey tail mushroom. The mushroom sometimes grows in clusters or bouquets, but quite often it will just grow as a shelf fungus right off the side of a log without a stem. The scientific name for turkey tail is Trametes versicolor. Trametes meaning the thin one, and versicolor meaning many colors, which is a perfect description of this mushroom. That name was originally assigned to this mushroom all the way back 100 years ago by Czech mycologist Albert Pilat. Before that, Swedish naturalist Carl Linnaeus called it Boletus versicolor, and it's definitely not a Boletus, so I'm glad the name got changed to Trametes. Sometimes you might see it referred to as Coriolis versicolor, which is a synonym for this mushroom, and it's also sometimes known as Polyporus versicolor. In China, the mushroom is referred to as yunzi, which means cloud fungus, and in Japan, it's known as karoataki, which means mushroom by the riverbank. Similar to reishi mushrooms, turkey tail mushrooms don't have gills. Instead, it has pores or a series of tubes inside of the mushroom, which is the structure that it uses to export its spores. So if you flip a turkey tail mushroom over and you look at the spore side of it, you'll see that it can either be white, it can be brown, or it sometimes can be a cream color. And the pores are really tiny. There's between 3 to 8 pores per millimeter. And it's not like you're gonna pull your measuring tape and measure all those pores, but basically it looks like a bunch of pinpoints underneath the mushroom. So in nature, turkey tail reproduces by expelling those spores from the fruiting body, allowing them to float through the air, and eventually finding either a damaged tree or a decaying log, like this one, to infiltrate and eventually grow on. Although turkey tail itself is special and unique in terms of the benefits it can provide, which we'll talk about later, finding the actual mushroom is really common. In fact, turkey tail can be found almost anywhere in the world. It's so common that it's been reported to grow on over 70 different types of hardwood in the US alone. You might also find turkey tail pop up on coniferous trees, which is relatively uncommon for mushrooms. So turkey tail is a medicinal powerhouse, and there are a number of different compounds inside of the mushroom that give it those benefits. These are compounds like polysaccharides, sterols, polyphenols, and even triterpenes. But by far the most important compound in turkey tail mushroom are the beta-glucans. These are water-soluble, very special polysaccharides that give this mushroom its immune-supporting benefits. Beta-glucans themselves don't actually fight disease. Instead, they support and modulate the immune system and put your body in a better situation to fight back against anything that's trying to take it down. When beta-glucans enter the body, they mimic an invader, which are taken to task by macrophages, which are innate immune cells that engulf the beta-glucan. The macrophages then take them to the lymph nodes where they're broken down into smaller bits. The fragments are then released and they are bound to natural killer cells and other immune cells. This is kind of a complex process, but you can essentially think of ingesting beta-glucans like taking your immune system to the gym on a daily basis. Beta-glucans are a type of polysaccharide, but there are other polysaccharides in turkey tail that really take it to superhero status. These are PSK, also known as polysaccharide crestin, or PSP, known as polysaccharide peptide. Both PSP and PSK are polysaccharide protein complexes, which are essentially long chains of sugars that are bound to proteins, and they're connected in different ways depending on the molecular structure. PSK was first discovered in the 1960s in Japan, and then about 20 years later, PSP was isolated in China. Since PSP and PSK have been discovered, there have been lots of studies done on these compounds that show promise for certain certain cancer-related treatments. And some of them have actually been done using human clinical trials. And of course, research is still ongoing. And if this is a topic that you're specifically interested in, check out some of the links below where we link to some of the research that's being done. Some of you might be familiar with Paul Stamets and the really famous TED Talk that he did. He talked about his mother who was battling with breast cancer and started using turkey tail mushrooms. And of course, at the end of the speech, he brings his mother up on stage. And it was really powerful and a really emotional moment. It just goes to show the potential power of these mushrooms. By the way, if you like mushrooms and you like mushroom content, take a second to hit that subscribe button. And while you're down there, hit the like button as well. It really helps the channel. Now, again, I mentioned turkey tail is one of the most researched mushrooms in the world. So let's look at some of the other studies that have been done and some of the other benefits that might have come out of that. The first one that I want to talk about is turkey tail's benefits for gut health. One study looked at how PSP might affect the microbiome in the gut when compared to the antibiotic amoxicillin. In this study, 24 people were randomized into 3 different groups: the PSP group, the antibiotic group, and the control group. This was done for a period of 8 weeks. The stool analysis showed that PSP had prebiotic effects, which can include increasing the good microbes in the gut. The amoxicillin group, on the other hand, had an increase in pathogenic bacteria that persisted for 42 days after they stopped taking the antibiotic. Turkey tail actually also has some potential anti-inflammatory effects, which may provide additional benefits in the cases of things like inflammatory bowel disease. There was a study done with mice that had ulcerative colitis who were given extracts of the turkey tail mushroom, and it showed that after giving the extracts, they had lower levels of inflammatory cytokines. Looking at these studies, it suggests that the antibacterial, the antiviral, and the immunomodulatory properties of turkey tail mushrooms may actually be helpful in improving the gut microbiome and maintaining a healthier gut environment. In the world of medicinal mushrooms, chaga is super famous for being a powerful antioxidant. If you want to learn more about chaga mushroom, you can go check out, we did a whole guide on that. Turkey tail is also considered an antioxidant, and that's because of polyphenols inside of the mushroom that can act as an antioxidant. The polyphenol content of turkey tail is highest in the fruiting body of the mushroom, and alcohol extracts of turkey tail appear to have the most antioxidant potential. One interesting aspect of turkey tail mushroom that might be lesser known is that it might actually be used to help with exercise endurance. There were some studies done on mice where they were given an extract of turkey tail mushroom for a period of 4 weeks, and a number of markers showed improved exercise ability. Interestingly, the mice that received the turkey tail extract also showed stronger grip strength. These results show that the mice who received turkey tail extract actually may have had less muscle damage during exercise and were actually better able to utilize oxygen. Now, this is usually a property that is associated with something like cordyceps, which is the energy mushroom. So it's interesting to think that turkey tail mushroom might also be its own energy mushroom. A study from the Journal of Integrative Medicine examined whether turkey tail mushroom could provide relief from chronic fatigue syndrome. So in the study, 36 people with this condition took an extract from a turkey tail strain for a period of 2 months. At the end of the study, levels of natural killer cells increased by 45%, and participants also exhibited various levels of T cell activation and suppression. Since people with chronic fatigue syndrome have shown to naturally have lower natural killer cell counts and lower T cell activation, this study suggests that turkey tail might be able to help with chronic fatigue syndrome. So we know about all the amazing benefits of turkey tail mushroom, but how do you actually use it? Of course, you can wild harvest turkey tail mushroom. As mentioned, it grows almost everywhere, so there's a really good chance if you know what you're looking for, you can go to the woods and you can harvest some of it yourself. If you do manage to get some fruiting body of turkey tail mushroom, you're not gonna wanna just eat it because it's very hard, it's chewy, it's woody, and it's not a gourmet mushroom that you would normally use in cooking. So the best way to use turkey tail mushroom is to make a tea. So the best way to do that is just to cut it or rip it into a bunch of little strips and then put it on the stove and simmer it in sub-boiling water. You want to make sure it's around 80 degrees Celsius, and you simmer it for a long time, which will pull out those beneficial compounds, and then you'll have a nice turkey tail tea. Now, turkey tail is not super offensive in the way that it tastes. It's actually pretty mild, but if you don't want to get the whole fruiting bodies, if you don't want to harvest it, there are lots lots of commercially available turkey tail mushroom extracts. Now these can come in a variety of different forms, but there are a few things that you should look out for if you are in the market for commercially prepared turkey tail mushroom supplements. Look for something that's made from actual mushrooms, something that has been properly extracted so you can actually make use of those beneficial compounds. Obviously, if you're looking to treat a specific condition, it's best to talk to your doctor or natural healthcare practitioner that will tell you the appropriate dose and form of turkey tail mushroom. But in general, something like 1 to 3 grams of hot water extracted turkey tail powder is recommended as a place to start. In general, turkey tail is a widely used, well-tolerated natural supplement that can quite easily be added to your daily routine. So that's it for turkey tail mushroom. I hope you learned something new, and if you do want to dive a lot deeper into all the research that we use to put this guide together, make sure you look at the full guide on our website. It goes into a lot more depth on all of these topics with links to where you can go learn more. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.